So today we're going to talk about rotations. Okay, so in a rotation, what do? Okay, so it's a turn, right? It's turning it. So a rotation is a transformation that turns a figure around a fixed point called the center of rotation. Okay, a rotation always turns counterclockwise, unless otherwise noted. Always turns counterclockwise. Which way is counterclockwise? It's like this, right? That's counterclockwise. You ever heard the phrase righty-tighty, lefty-loosey? Okay. That has always messed me up because watch this. Okay. Those two arrows, you're going the same way, right? I mean, you're turning it the same way. But if you start at the top, which way are you going? Left. You're going to the left. If you start at the bottom, which way are you going? Right. To the right. That's why that's always messed me up. Especially like if you're reaching your hand down in an engine or whatever and you're trying to turn something like that and it's like upside down and like this. That always messes my mind up. But clockwise and counterclockwise, that just makes sense. Okay, anyways, that's beside the point. Okay, how many degrees are in a circle? 360 degrees are in a circle. Like from what we did in our last unit. Okay, so number one says how many degrees are in each angle of this pentagon? So if all of these are the same, the whole thing from here to here is 360. Okay? What I want to know is how many degrees it is from there to there. If you go the whole way, it's 360. How would you find the measurement of just that piece?
72.
How'd you do that? Good. So if you do 360 divided by 5, there's 5 angles there. We're assuming this is, they're all the same measurement. And so each one of those angles is 72 degrees. Okay? So let me erase this. So if you were to rotate this from here to here, that would be 72 degrees. Okay, so number 2 says, okay, we start at point A. And remember, we always go counterclockwise. So if I start at point A and I rotate 144 degrees, so that'd be 72, and 72 plus 72 is 144. So if I rotated 144, where would that put point A? It'd put it where point D is. Okay? If I was starting at point C and I rotated it 72 degrees, where would that put it? 72 degree rotation would put it right there at point B. Okay. So if we start at point D and we rotate 288 degrees, where's that going to put us? It's going to put us at point E, nearly all the way back. And then on the last one here, if we started at point E and you rotate 360 degrees, where's that going to put you? It's going to put it back to where it started, right? Back to point E. Okay, number 6. How many degrees is in each angle? Assuming these are all the same, how many degrees is each angle of that hexagon?
36.
Be careful. It's 60, that's right. 360 divided by 6 of them, that means each one is 60 degrees. So 60 degrees there, 60 degrees, 60 degrees, 60 degrees, 60 degrees. 60 degrees. Okay, so how many degrees would it take to rotate point L to point P? Yeah, it'd take both of those, so it'd take 120 degrees to get there. Okay, 120. Okay, how many degrees would it take to rotate N to point Q? Take 180 degrees rotation. Okay, number 9, if you rotated point M 300 degrees, where would that put you? Remember, you go this way, So boom, it put you right there. Yep. Yep. So it puts you at point N. Okay, so on the back, we're going to talk about some basic rotations, 90, 180, and 270. Okay. So let's do this. If you had this and okay, let's say draw that like that. Draw a ray like that. Let's say you rotate it 90 degrees. Which way is that going to be pointing if you rotate it 90 degrees? It's going to be pointing straight up and down, right? That would be a 90-degree rotation. Okay? What if it was like this and you rotated this 180? Where would it put it? It'd put it facing this exact opposite direction, right? That'd be 180 degrees. Okay, what if it was facing this way and you rotated it 270? That actually is like all the way from here to here. That'd be a 270-degree rotation. Okay, so a 90-degree rotation is a quarter turn. Okay, 90-degree rotation is a quarter turn. 180-degree rotation is half of a turn. 270 is 3/4 of a turn. And then what would be a full turn? Be 360 degrees, right? Okay, now here's the rules on these basic rotations. A 90-degree rotation, the xy turns into negative yx. So what that means is you change the sign on the y, and then you flip the two numbers. Change the sign on the y and then flip the two numbers. So if we start off with 4, 5, and we rotate it 90 degrees, where's that going to put that? Good, at negative 5, 4. Change the sign on the y and then flip them. But you only change the sign on the y. You don't change the sign on the x. You just leave it like it is. If it's negative, it stays negative. We'll see some examples of that in a second. Okay, 180-degree rotation. So on this, the xy just turns into negative x, negative y. So you don't switch the numbers, you just change the sign. So what's going to happen to negative 2, negative 3? It's just going to become positive 2, positive 3. You just change the signs. And we are going to practice this in just a second. I'm just giving you the rules right here. And then on a 270-degree rotation, the xy turns into y, negative x. You change the sign on the x and then flip them on this one. Okay? So on this one, if we change the sign on the x and then flip them. So that's going to become a negative 5. The negative 8 stays the same, and then we switch them. What's it going to be? Change the sign on the x and then flip them. What's it going to be? Negative 8, negative 5. Negative 8, negative 5. Okay, so what I want you to do on number 10 is go ahead and plot these 3 points, A, B, and C. Make sure you label those points and then connect them to make the triangle. Okay, now what we're going to do on this one is a 90-degree rotation. So go back up here, let's look at the rule. The xy turns into negative yx. Change the sign on the y and then switch them. Change the sign on the y, then switch them. So if a's at 2, 2, where's a prime going to be at? Good, negative 2, 2. Okay, if B is at 5, 2, where's B prime going to be at?
-2.
Good, -2, 5. And then if C is at 4, 5, where's C prime going to be at?
-5,
5, 4. Okay, so let's go ahead and plot those for our 3 points. Those are going to be our rotated points now. So it should look like that. Okay, so here's what I want you to see. All right, I'm taking this, they call this patty paper. It's like put between hamburger patties. Works really good for this. Okay, so I'm gonna trace the X and Y axes here. Here's A, B, C. Okay. So what I'm going to do is this 90-degree rotation right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that right there, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, a quarter turn, and then boom, you can see it right there. Is it right on top of there? Okay. Go back to this. Right there, quarter turn, 90 degrees, lays it right on top. Okay. All right. Next one, go ahead and plot those 3 points. Number 11, plot those 3 points. Okay, now we're going to do a 180-degree rotation on this one. So what's the rule on a 180-degree rotation? You just change the signs. If it's positive, it becomes negative. If it's negative, it becomes positive. That's it. You don't switch them. You just change the signs. So where's A prime going to be at?
+2, -1.
2, -1. Where's B prime going to be at?
7,
-3. And then where's C prime going to be at?
4, -6.
4, -6. Okay, so let's plot those new points. Okay, so it should look like that. I'm going to do the same thing here real quick. Trace the Y and the X. Here's A, B, C. Okay, now this one's 180, right? So it's a half of a turn. So I'm going to hold that right there. There's 90, and then that right there takes us all the way around to 180 degrees. Lines exactly up on what we just applied. Okay, so Rick, let me get you started on this real quick. So on this side, you can skip 5, 6, and 11. Skip 5, 6, and 11. Okay, here at the top, you're just going to say whether it looks like a rotation or not. So number one, what do you think?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, it's like this triangle just got rotated around to make this triangle. Right? So all you're going to do is say yes and no on that. Let's go ahead and do number 7 together real quick. So let's go ahead and plot those. Negative 2, 3 is A. B is at 3, 4. And C is at 0, 1. So it should look like that. Okay, now what's our rule on 90-degree rotation? Negative y-axis. So you change the sign on the y, then you flip them. We're not changing the sign on the x, and that's what's tempting to do here. But if I just change the sign on the y and flip them, what's it going to be? Negative 3, negative 2. Nothing is changing the negative on that x, so it stays like negative 2. Okay? So B prime, what's that going to be? Negative 4, 3. And then C is going to be negative 1, 0. Okay, so let's plot those new points. Negative 3, negative 2. Negative 4, 3. And then negative 1, 0. Of A, B, C. Looks weird, but it's right. I mean, if you think about it, if you take this, just like I did, and rotate it a quarter turn, that red is going to line up exactly up on top of that blue one. Okay, get grouped up, go for it.